What is daily journal writing? Well, there are 4 incredible ways that you can go about writing in your journal that literally unlock your life. So watch closely as I share with you 4 incredible ways to write in your journal that makes journal writing so much easier. I love journal writing. I'm just a fanatic about journal writing. Years ago, there's no way I would have ever written in a journal. In fact, my mom could not get me to write in my journal. It was painful, and I felt like my mom was torturing me if I was gonna write in my journal. And it was on a Sunday that she would hand me a journal, or she would say, "Kirk, go write in your journal." And I thought, this is crazy people talk. Why would you ever want to do this? Well, I've changed my ways. I think I was 15 back then when I was complaining about it, and now here I am, 49. So it's like 34 years later, I finally get it. Thanks, Mom. Love you, Mom. It's like, I finally figured it out, Mom. But hey, let's talk about this. Journaling. What's it all about? It's a book, or it's a document on your computer, or it's a file on your phone, a notes section on your phone. But what is it doing though? There's all different ways to go about writing in a journal, but what is happening in this experience of journal writing? You could write about the history of what happened today, so you can collect a history, which is super important for the family, because you never know what details matter in 3 months from now. You can write in your journal to express yourself, because maybe there's things you can't tell another person, but you can always tell your journal. It's a way of having levels of self-discovery, learning about the inside thinking and feeling of who you are. It develops a level of connection. You can write letters to people in your journal. My grandfather passed away almost 2 years ago, and I could write my grandfather a letter in my journal. I could write my dad. I could write my mom. I can write whatever I want in my journal. But this journal writing experience can create some really cool connections, even though the people are far away, or maybe they've even passed and they're in heaven somewhere. The last one here, and I hope I spelled it right. Did I spell that right? That's supposed to say conscious.
It's supposed to be an S.
Conscious.
Coscience.
How do you spell it? Oh, you get to watch a correction happen, right?
S right there.
Conscious. That's awesome. That's why you got a great team, is to help you spell check on the paper. So yeah, that word right there. So it helps you stay conscious. Helps you stay conscious of what's going on in your life. And so here we have a journal. And this is one of, I think the last time I counted, I'm over 20 different journals. My wife has way more journals than I do. She's like the queen of journaling. But I have journals, and I just wanted to show you a little bit of what goes on inside my journal. Sometimes it's a total doodle pad. I got diagrams, I have lists, I have quotes, I have how this connects to this and this connects to this. I have in here Post-it notes where I was thinking of something else and I brought it in here because I wanted to gather that information. Inside my journal, I also, again, more diagrams. I really think in diagrams and short little sentences. This was an emotional chart I thought of one day, and I was writing down the emotions and the effects of emotions. But if you notice, I'm not like a normal, like what you would think journal writer, like dear journal, and it's like paragraphs and paragraphs. But this is really important to me. This information has helped me be able to come back and look at it, help me understand myself, help me figure out what to do next in my life. For example, like this back on, this is 2010, March of 2010. This was a big deal what happened. To understand this and understand this about how I think and how I feel, this is a big deal. But notice there's no paragraphs. It's just this diagram of these charts that I wrote. So journaling Why do daily journaling? Well, let's just go through the list. Helps you stay connected, helps you discover who you are, helps you express, and it also keeps a list of a history for you. A person who journals is a person who is conscious. And when you are conscious, you make better decisions. That's what I'm finding. Just to get some kind of inexpensive journal or open up a document on your computer or a note section on your phone, if you want to get better at making decisions, you bring yourself to a higher level of consciousness. And all these things are going to happen. But what it does is it keeps your life at the surface. And so that you can remember what you've learned, you remember the mistakes you've made so you don't do them again, you remember your interactions with people, and you already know what you want to do different next time. But the more you journal, the more you literally are paying attention in life. Because when we don't journal, we forget. When we don't journal, then we don't see the connection between last Friday and last month and 2 years ago. We don't see all those connections, those lessons that we could have learned. When we don't journal, we tend to be more out of control of who we are. When we don't journal, we can lose purpose. And when we don't journal, we can lose direction. I remember writing some information down in my journal one day, and at the end of the paragraph, I was typing this on my computer. And when I got to the end of the paragraph, I wrote this little comment that said, I bet this is going to be important for me to review later. Because in that journal writing, there were some big decisions that I had just made. But I didn't really know why those decisions had to be made on that day. Just felt it. I just felt it like, wow, I got to change. Something has to change here. But nothing around us was demanding that change to happen, but I just felt it. So I made that little note at the end of my journal, like, I think something's going to happen in the future. Well, 3 months later, a really big dramatic thing happened to my family. And we made it through the big dramatic thing. But in my journal writing 3 months later, when this big dramatic thing happened, I was writing in my journal going, wow, I'm sure glad 3 months ago we made this decision. I'm really glad we changed doing this. And then all of a sudden it clicked. Wait a minute. I flipped back through my pages and I read my journal entry from 3 months ago. And there was this direct connection of those decisions prepared my family, positioned my family to be able to have the strength, the insight, and the protection for this big dramatic thing that hit us. And I was writing in my journal entry, during this dramatic time of saying, I cannot even imagine what would have happened if we had not made those decisions. And that story is logged in those journals. And I remember taking my journal to Kim and saying, Kim, look what we did and look how this helped us. And we're able to review that whole 4-month experience that happened. And inside those writings, our understanding of our family, our marriage, our children, our purpose of life became even more clear than where it was before those 4 months. But if I had not written that down, and if I had not fully and honestly expressed myself, I could have missed all that information. Journaling helps us stay in tune to ourselves, to what's happening around us, and journaling helps us connect all the puzzle pieces of what's going on. I don't know why a person would not journal. Actually, I do know why they wouldn't journal. There's not enough time. They don't see a value behind it. Why would I ever do this? I don't want anybody to ever read it. And there's a whole list of why people would not want to journal. But there's a bigger list why I must journal. Because it teaches me about who I am. So when you're looking at daily journal writing, maybe you start out as just the history for the day, but then move into expressing yourself. how you really felt for the day. Then take a look at yourself. Is there anything you learned? Anything that you learned? Is there something you learned you should never do again? Or did you learn that there's something you should remember and always keep doing? And then maybe there's somebody you need to connect to in your journal writing. And you take a moment or a small little paragraph and reach out and just talk to that person in your journal. And you'll find that all of this is helping you stay conscious. And again, I'm going to say, when you're conscious, you're going to make better decisions. And that keeps you on the path of where you really wanted to go. It doesn't stop problems from hitting you, but what it does do is it helps you be more conscious and confident and strong if something does happen to you in your life. Because you probably saw it coming in your journal. But today's a great day for you to journal. Get yourself a book. You can go to the store and get one for $1. I mean, they're super inexpensive. And it's your own journal. You don't have to read it to everybody. You can just keep it to yourself. But this is yours. It's yours to be able to discover who you are and so that you can stay conscious and make good choices in your life. Because here are 3 key elements. Your life matters. And your confidence and your ability to make decisions, I think about that. And I want you to know about the things we've found that works for us in our family. In this family, we journal because we don't want to get lost and be confused and have to deal with stuff we did not have to deal with. So I hope for you and your family that you take on journaling. For more training and insight, well, just subscribe to this YouTube channel. We got more coming to you. A lot of great insight for you and perfect timing for you in your life too. And also, if you'd love to come to one of our training courses, attend or go to 3keyelements.com and look at our courses, super affordable, and we'd love to meet you. And we'd love to see you at our classes so we can train you on the principles and techniques we've learned to keep our life on that great path moving forward. Because your life matters.